Hello everyone, MeanSpeed here with another Rising Hub video. Now this video is going to be on the Halloween update, which I actually thought wasn't going to be until the end of this month, but I guess it got released early, or there wasn't much else to put on the countdown, so it came out earlier than expected. But either way, there is a lot to this update, and it's honestly the biggest update the game has had since I'd say around July time, when we had like the new weapons with a few stolen weapons and stuff like that, black market update I think it was. So yeah, and it comes with new clothing items, new weapons with a new weapon concept as well, which I'll get into later, some bug fixes and some small tweaks, and last but not least, a brand new map. So we're going to start with the new map. It's called Estuary Encampment. Probably said that wrong. But yeah, this is something that was actually made by a player called CavePanda, which first of all is awesome to see because it's even more community made and submitted content getting added to the game and being featured. But also because it's just pretty well made in general. And I believe CavePanda was working on this map for several months, and I think it started out not even Halloween related, just kind of like a daytime map, but he actually changed it. So because it was nearing completion close to this month, he made a night version of it and added Halloween related objects and props to it just to capture the Halloween vibe, and I think he did a really good job with that. So this map is an infantry only map. There aren't actually any vehicles at all, so it's kind of like Perilous Port, and it's not exactly a very flat map. You're going to see that it's almost all about the high ground here, with lots of bridges and stairs with different higher up sections and areas. I think you know, it makes the map look pretty unique and interesting, and aesthetically it's very pleasing. But I know what a lot of you are probably thinking with all of the bridges and high up spots, and that's basically, from a gameplay perspective, how useful is it really? Well, not really that useful, because you got to think, like, in the sense of, if you're crossing one of the bridges or a fight is taking place near one or on one of the bridges, a blast from a soldier, an RPG shot from a gunner, even things like smaller explosives and troop traps, all of those can knock you off, and you're basically going to fall all the way down by the waterfall in the river area, which I can see being pretty annoying to have to deal with. Now, even though that area all the way down isn't out of bounds or punish, obviously if you fail to activate your parachute, you're going to die instantly. And also, it's just going to take you ages anyway to get back up to where you were, so that can be quite tedious. However, you could also say that having so many bridges and spots like that gives you a lot of different routes to take in order to capture flags or initiate a push and stuff like that as well. Speaking of flags, the map has 4 in total. Church, which is where the Nationals spawn closest to. A flag called Marked, which is where the Royals spawn by. And there's also Bridge and Watermill. Now, Watermill's a bit out of the way. It's basically one of those where you're probably only going to be fighting around the other 3 flags, unless you end up in a situation, like I said before, if you fall all the way down, because following that stream of water, it'll take you right to Watermill. But yeah, it's mostly a forgettable part of the map and a forgettable flag, I'd say, when it comes to actual gameplay. And like, I don't see it being a popular spot. As I said before, this map was originally not Halloween themed, so as well as being a night map, now there's Halloween props like pumpkins, cobwebs scattered around the map, plus some objects such as dead and hanging soldiers, which were originally made and used on the Doom map conversions made by Apache Thunder over a year ago, which were featured elsewhere before Rising Hub was around as well. So it is cool to see them here again, and yeah, they obviously do suit the map, and I think they're used pretty well here. Now, I'm actually glad that I got to play the map in a pre-game setting, because basically it meant I could showcase a lot of the areas without being focused on a fight or getting bothered by anyone for the most part, and I could do a proper walkthrough like I did with the last map earlier this year as well. But there's actually a reason why it was a pre-game, because as far as I know right now, only a couple of servers are running the map, so the chances of finding a full game on the map are quite slim, and the only one I did manage to find that was a full game was located in the US, so it wasn't ideal for me really to play that because my ping would suck. So yeah, but be aware that if you do want to try this out for yourself, you're quite limited in how often you can play and find full games and servers running it, which is a bit of a shame for a new map. But again, it comes down to the server owners and to some extent like player interest in liking the map enough to want to join and fill up a game that's playing it as well. So yeah, we also got some new weapons, and as I said, well, I said these were like a new concept. Basically, The concept is all of these weapons are actually clothing items that have been made into real weapons that you can wield and fight players with, which is a really awesome and interesting idea and concept, which I honestly didn't even think was possible, so it actually surprised me. I mean, I know we've had new weapons before this, but to have like custom-made weapon models and textures being used is more impressive than taking an already existing one and changing some stats, at least to me, in my opinion. So yeah, these were also made by CavePanda, so a lot of this update was made possible thanks to him. Otherwise, if you know, I'm not sure how much this update would have had without his efforts, but yeah. So the customization items that were made into weapons are the scythe from the skeleton set, the club from the mutant set, and also the rifle from the D-Day set on the Royals. So yeah, two of these are commando only weapons, they're melee weapons, and the rifle is available to both commandos and soldiers. So no gunner weapons this time, although that's fair since the weapon before these was the burst fire MG, which was obviously gunner only. So to my knowledge, based on the small amount of time I did get to try these weapons out, the new melee weapons, they function in the same way as the super knife. So you have basically like a very point-blank stabbing range. They're not like the knight and the samurai swords where you have to actually make a bit of space and distance yourself with each swing, which did surprise me because like the animation gives it away like it is going to be like those, but it's not. But yeah, as well as similar damage to the super knife, each hit you land with these will actually knock back the enemy slightly, and normally I'd say this is a bad thing because obviously you want your enemy to stay within your stabbing range, but it's only a very slight knockback. You're not going to notice it much. I only really noticed it, well, I was told about it, but then I had to go back and look at some footage to actually see it for myself, and then I noticed it. But yeah, it can actually be quite useful if you can pin someone up against a wall or a fence, because it means they're even easier to kill. And obviously going to keep getting like knocked back up against it. Yeah, I should also say that the clothing items these weapons are based on, yeah, they are still in the game. I just basically, in the footage, I decided not to wear them because I just found it more amusing to make it look like you took it off your back and used it as a weapon instead of having an extra one. So yeah, I'll most likely do individual videos on these weapons just to show them off more than I have done here anyway. It was just hard to find a good server to use them in without getting kicked as a commando, obviously. Now the third and final weapon, the D-Day rifle, is actually a lot of fun to use. It's similar to the repeater rifles, but it's pretty overpowered in no-scope damage. I've managed to hit 50s and 60s on no-scope headshots before, even in close range, so honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is nerfed pretty soon, or on the list of things to be nerfed. However, the scope damage is pretty standard from what I could tell. And since you're moving around so slowly while scoped in and, you know, you're quite vulnerable, I wouldn't nerf that damage. It's only the no scope that seems to be an issue because not only can you, you know, do more damage with it, at least from what I could tell from the rounds I was playing it in, it's easier and quicker to aim with it, especially in close range, and it's very spammy, plus your movement isn't slowed down either when using it this way. Abilities don't work with it at the moment, which is actually a good thing for now based on how good it is. I think adding burning bullets damage and being able to no scope with piercing shot would be just ridiculous and just really game breaking. So yeah, all in all though, this customizations turn to weapons idea is something that surprised me. It really interests me and I'm happy to see it, and maybe in the future we'll get even more, like the barbarian swords, the ninja swords, maybe even stuff like the baseball bat being used as weapons, which I think would be pretty cool. And yeah, you guys know me, I love seeing custom content and new ideas like this. We also got some new clothing, so the Halloween mask contest winners were announced, and I believe there were 6 in total added to the game. Once again, community submitted content, so I'm glad to see the community getting involved in the game's development like that. There were also some new stolen Halloween weapons, so the Halloween RPGs can now be used on both factions, and this goes for other weapons as well, like the demon shotguns, so it's cool to see you can use 2 of those now. Yeah, there were also some small tweaks to some weapons, such as the Dragon's Fire, which it got a bit more damage and an increased explosion radius after the massive nerf it had before, which meant you pretty much never saw them in game. An increased fire rate for the bow weapons was added as well, which, you know, they were really slow firing and hard to use from the beginning, really, so it's cool to see that. And also, there was a faster rate of fire, or swing rate, you could say, on the knight swords. Also, Frenzy Fire now works on the Burst Fire MG, which I used recently in a video, so it was great to see that fixed now, and I'll definitely have to make a follow-up video to that, just revisit it and see how it is now with that ability. And yeah, finally, another small Halloween related thing is there's actually a BFH themed pumpkin carving contest being held right now. You can find all the details in the Discord, but it's pretty self-explanatory, and you can get a pretty nice reward if you win. So yeah guys, that was it for this update. Although there's still more to come, because not only was this released pretty early for a Halloween update, and it made the countdown pretty short, but also because Bixie did say he's not quite done yet. So hopefully I'll have more Halloween and update news for you guys soon. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.